Don't be rude.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God,
Stop.
don't be
What are you
throw the thing on
doing?
me. I'll hurt you. Don't do that.
Stop. Oh my God.
Come on, huh?
I can't
Why you can't?
because the door's not open all the way.
The door is not open wider. Okay. Guess where you staying tonight?
Here.
You're damn right you are.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
I'm Romero.
And I'm Chris.
And we're the non-experts.
We're not therapists.
Or lawyers.
Or firefighters.
We don't have any licenses or degrees.
So join us as we talk about news and pop culture and say whatever we want.
Because we're the non-experts.
I think we just press record, we hop on this bad boy, and say, good evening, America, or good morning, depending on when you're watching or tuning in, and welcome to the Non-Experts Podcast. I am your host, Romero Sark, along with my buddy, Chris C. Boogie Brugman.
Well, yeah, that's a great way to start. Hello there. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Ready to quit life, but it's going. How about
I think
yourself?
everybody is. Like, the closer we get to next week, I think everybody's ready to just throw in the towel.
That video? The kid grabs the seatbelt. He's like, hit the brakes, Mom. That's how I feel. He wraps the seatbelt around his neck and he's like, Mom, hit the brakes.
That's hilarious. That's kind of how I feel.
I felt that on a spiritual level. Very much so.
All right, so I do have a rather interesting topic for you that it kind of takes us back to our origins as a podcast, because these are the kind of topics we used to talk about before we got into, I guess, things that we actually cared about versus things like this. But apparently, Miss Kardashian West, our good friend Kim Kardashian West, has thrown a party on a private island during the pandemic, and people are not happy about it. Like, as in, the entire internet is basically, like, shaming her for even having thought of doing this, and it was for her 40th birthday, and am I the only one who thought that, like, she's 40? Like, I guess I didn't I knew she was older, but, like,
with all the
when I saw,
you'd never know.
Exactly, and I saw 40th, I'm like, she's 40? Anyway, so she shared these pictures on, I believe it was Twitter, of her big 40th blowout bash at an undisclosed island. Right. Mm-hmm. An experience which she said gave her a slice of normality in challenging times. She said she gave everybody like 2 weeks of multiple health screens, which she didn't divulge what that means. Asked everyone to quarantine. Right. And then
which I doubt they did.
She basically surprised like her whole like inner circle like on this island for like her birthday and stuff. And according to her, this is directly from her, we danced, rode bikes, swam near whales, kayaked, watched a movie on the beach, and so much more.
That sounds like a blast.
I mean, if I was her friend, I would be like, Kim, what are you doing? But also, am I invited? Like, this.
Okay, but did you send the invite?
Right.
I'm not saying this is a great idea, but I am on board.
Right. Well,
that makes sense now. I didn't know what it was. I hadn't ever seen the story. I just kept seeing people talk about her, which is pretty much normal social media. So I was like, oh, well, it's just that time of the month again. It's time to bash Kim. So it makes sense now, knowing why this, what provoked this. Mm-hmm. But also, like, come on, guys. Come on. Like, can we just not? It's okay. First of all, you're 40, okay? Your birthday shouldn't even still be that big of a deal. It's
Old
okay
enough.
to just sit this one out, especially in the midst of a global pandemic, or as I like to call it now, a panoramic. We are living in a panoramic, and you're concerned about your birthday. Also, I will say, this is not surprising to me, only because there's been a lot of celebrity birthdays this year that, like, there were huge parties still, and I think we're all like, are you sure about that?
Right.
I know last week, 21 Savage had like a 70s themed birthday party, which like a lot of people were at, And then, which was pretty funny, like seeing all the like costumes and stuff people were putting
Yeah.
on to look vintage. But also, guys, there's a panoramic going on. Maybe we shouldn't. So there's been a couple birthdays this year that I guess, you know, if you have a certain amount of zeros after your name in the network, you just
Yeah.
say, whatever. Same
Yeah.
way Magic Johnson got rid of AIDS, I'll get rid of Corona. It's fine. I got the money to pay for it. I don't know. It's a little extreme.
Yeah.
Hold it steady, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Okay. So, other news this week, you know, there's this social media platform called TikTok. The kids love
yes.
it these days. Teenagers love it. I'm sure you know what I'm getting at. You kind of probably know the story. Apparently, it is okay to be a teenager and make TikToks and sing certain songs, unless you're the child of a former president. Because if you're the child of a former president, God forbid you do anything normal children do.
Right.
So, Sasha Obama, there's a TikTok of her singing a song, and I don't even remember the song right now. I know it, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, Daily Mail took it upon themselves to tweet, Sasha Obama posts viral TikTok with her saying the N-word in profanity-filled song. As if every other normal 19-year-old
Right.
is probably doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a billion videos just like it, but because this one has Sasha Obama in it, whoa, everybody stop. We have to talk about this. I just thought that was so weird. Like, first of all, let these children live. They're just kids. Like,
Right.
they're normal children. Your dad can be the CEO, the president, whatever, or just be a McDonald's manager. You're still just a normal teenager. So I just think it's so weird that, like, I feel like these news outlets wait for them to do something.
Yeah.
Like when Malia was smoking weed, they were like, "Oh, she smokes like most normal college kids."
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, it's just at a point it just gets kind of weird. Like, what's the story here? What artistic or informational value does this hold?
Right. And that's kind of like the whole thing is like, why is this even being talked? You know what I mean? Because it's not like they're making a point about it. They're just like pointing it out to you, you know, just like, hey, look at this. Yeah,
You see that?
exactly.
You see
Yeah.
that? A black teenager said the N-word. A teenage girl made a TikTok video.
Right.
Like,
Like,
I
what
don't-
about all
I
the
don't
others
understand.
that are doing the same thing? Like, is it just because she's the president's daughter, former president's daughter?
That reminds me of that song. You remember that song, My Date with the President's Daughter? What movie? Was that like
No.
a Disney movie? You don't remember that?
No. That feels like something
Somebody
I should remember,
listening
though.
has to remember that. My Date with the President's Daughter. It's a thing, I promise you.
Wow.
It's definitely a thing. Do your Googles, go back and watch the Disney archives. It's somewhere in there. But yeah, I don't know. I just found that to be really weird, and I love the overwhelming amount. If you're familiar with Twitter, there's a thing that people call ratioing, which means like you tweet something, and whatever I reply or quote tweet gets way more interactions than you originally got. So it's like, boom, ratioed. So I love how many like celebrities have ratioed Daily Mail's tweet because there's so many people saying, okay, and?
You're right, yeah.
What's the point? What's the story here? Why do we care? Why is this important?
Yeah.
Get a life. So, I don't know. I think it's very weirdo behavior. Let these people just do what they do. It's almost as weird as people picking on Trump's kid. Like, he was just a weird little kid.
Right, yeah.
these kids have nothing to do with their parents. Just let them be kids. Moral of the story.
Like a diamond, I'm reminded that the boy shines bright at night. Take a stroll uptown where people can enjoy the sight. Like a diamond, I'm reminded that the boy shines bright at night.
So keeping on sort of this, it's kind of a weird tangent this episode, but kind of recalling older episodes. Do you remember when we talked about that college admissions scandal?
Yes.
With Lori Loughlin, and I think it was also Felicity Felicity Huffman. But so Lori Loughlin is, and this is according to People magazine, which, I mean, not as if that's the greatest news source in the world, but it's kind of like your teacher saying no, not to use Wikipedia. But anyway, Lori Loughlin is mentally preparing for her time in prison and wants it to be a distant memory by 2021. So to refresh your memory, Lori Loughlin paid somebody to take her daughter's college admissions test to ensure that she would, get into a nice college. And because of that, and because she was found out, she was sentenced to 2 months in prison, which she will be starting soon. Right. I know.
2 whole months?
Right?
60
Yeah.
days in a prison of her choice? Oh my
How
God.
is she going to survive? Yeah. But according to her, she just wants to go in, do her time, get out, and she just wants it to be as uneventful as possible, which, considering it's only 2 months, I think it's safe to say that that's not really a blip on your radar right now. Like, there's some people who are in there for probably minor things for much longer, so...
Yeah. Yeah, you want to go through the convictions of the multiple men and women serving long-term sentences for possession of marijuana?
Right.
Not killing anybody, not college scandals, just having a little bit of weed. And they've been in jail for years. You're doing 2 months, probably a nice little penthouse somewhere.
Right.
It's going to fly by. Have you seen October? October's been like 4 days long. So your 2 months is going to fly, I promise you.
Not only that, but like, if you really don't want to go to prison, how about you don't break the law? You know what I mean? Like, how about you just make your daughter
What a novel idea.
So original. So in addition to the 2 months in prison, she also had to pay a $150,000 fine, which, based on the date, she has had to have already paid, because her sentencing, she had 60 days from her sentencing to pay it, and it's been 67. So, but the other part of this is that her husband, I forget his first name, Massimo Giuliani, that's what it is. He has to serve 5 months in prison, pay a $250,000 fine, and also has 2 years of supervised release and 250 hours of community service. So he's a little bit longer and more consequential, but I mean, still 5 months compared to a life sentence. Yeah.
That's all that is. I just whenever you said, if you don't want to deal with the consequences, maybe don't break the law, it made me think, you remember, like, probably we were in middle school at the time, the meme of the little African kid, the white lady, and he's like,
yeah,
so you're telling me if I break the law, I have to face consequences? Like, that's just the first thing that came to mind, because I don't understand. First of all, how do you do what you did and everybody's like, oh, this is a huge news story, 2 months.
Yeah.
Why are we even making this news, and then that's your punishment? Like,
right.
You're going to serve 2 months because you were afraid your daughter was too dumb to do well on her exams, so you wanted somebody to cheat. How do you even cheat on those?
I think usually they either send somebody in their place and they say like, oh yeah, I'm so-and-so, and then they take the test for you, or they pay, I don't know, either somebody involved. Right, yeah, to like, I don't know, either like, slip in like, they did great or something, I don't know.
That's serious?
Yeah. Right, and that's
First
like,
of all,
is it worth it?
And we talked about this when it happened, but with the privilege you have access to,
right,
not only just as an ordinary white woman, but a white woman that's kind of famous, I think you would have been fine. Your daughter would have gotten into a school. Even if she was dumber than a box of rocks, somebody would have made that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So why'd you feel the need to cheat? I hope that those 60 days are the most treacherous, god-awful, long-lasting 60 days you've ever seen in your life, because you deserve less. Well, as you know, Chris, at some points in my social media career, career. I've used the term news you can't use and gone on to have talked about things that probably won't do you any good during the day, but you probably enjoyed watching me talk about them. So in more news you can't use, I'm pretty sure at this point we've all agreed that music award shows are garbage.
Right.
There's a lot of pandering that goes on. There's a lot of snubs, a lot of, are we sure that should have been the winner?
Yeah.
Just for example, Macklemore winning Rap Album of the Year at the Grammys or whatever, winning the Grammy for Rap Album over Kendrick Lamar, who put out probably one of the best albums I've heard in the last 5-10 years. Whatever, that's a different story. So last night was the BET Awards, another award show that nobody even cares about anymore. But well, there's just a couple things here that were hilarious to me. First of all, DaBaby, which you may or may not be a fan of as a viewer or as my co-host, he led with like 12 nominations for different categories. You know how many awards he went home with yesterday?
No.
I just thought that was so funny. How can you nominate somebody for that many categories and they just go 0 for 12, 0 for 11?
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. And a lot of people, of course, the internet loved it. Like, let's make fun of him. Because the joke about him is that all of his songs sound the same, which they're not wrong. So the fact that he lost, everybody's just been talking crazy about him. But the one thing that I've seen all day, I guess Meg Thee Stallion won like Rap Artist of the Year or something along those lines. And I guess Twitter is feuding because some of Twitter felt like it should have been Lil Baby. And then it became a really weird like men versus women issue when it's literally just music, guys. It's just, you know, I personally feel like you had a great year, but I think this person had a better one. But you know Twitter, everything has to be super sensitive.
Right.
Everything has to be super edgy. We have to all be butthurt. You don't care about black women because you feel like she shouldn't have won. You don't want black women to get recognition. No, I disagree. Like, is that okay? I don't know. I just thought it was so weird. Like, all day at work, like, I'd randomly check my phone, and it was still going. I was like, are we still talking about this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
are we tired of Twitter yet? Can we just not?
It's a day and age, you know, where you can't say anything about anybody without it having a deeper meaning when really you're just like, no, I just don't like that or that person, or, you know what I mean? It has nothing to do with their race, their gender, nothing. Like, I hate that you can't say anything anymore.
You know, I always think of two memes come to mind when things like this happen. I think of one, there's a sink at a front door. Let that sink in.
Let that sink in. That's so funny.
And then there's another one, and it's like a kiddie pool. It's not that deep, fam. It's not that deep.
That's funny.
Because, like, I guess, like, looking at the numbers, okay, if you want to talk about Meg Thee Stallion, you know, she had a really big song, the Savage remix with Beyonce. So that was all over the place. Obviously, the song with Cardi B. WAP, which I don't think we've talked about before, but at this point, nothing needs to be said. We all know. I think that's one of the things we missed. If we had started like a month earlier.
Right, yeah.
She had a song with Nicki Minaj, so obviously she had a great musical year.
Right.
And anytime you have songs with any of those artists, obviously your streaming numbers are going to be super high. You're already a pretty popular artist, and other female artists that have just as insane of a viewership as you do, obviously your numbers are going to look pretty good. So rightfully so, she probably did win. But I just thought it was so strange that, like, you can't disagree with, I don't know, it was weird to me. But more so than anything, I just found it funny that DaBaby went home with 0 awards. It's messed up for something like that to make you feel good, but that's just hilarious to me. Like, you didn't even get the participation medals. We asked you to be here so we could continue to not call your name all night. That's all it was.
Of of, I would say, the 2000s, although technically you could say, like, you know, the 90s, but, like, really, you don't really remember those years. Like, I don't remember, you know, I don't remember that. Anyway, so as fans, as children of the 2000s, we never really got into, like, the Saved by the Bell, like, Boy Meets World sort of era, unless they were, like, reruns, you know, like, when they ever played them.
Now, Boy Meets World, that was my jam. That was my jam.
Was it really?
I'm very much a Boy Meets World fan. I love that show. Saved by the Bell, the reruns used to be on TBS a lot, and I think maybe ABC Family, but I just never really, you know? But
well, for
Boy Meets World, definitely.
For all of the fans of Saved by the Bell, there's either good news or horrifying news. To me, it's sort of horrifying. But they are doing a reboot of Saved by the Bell. And I just have to ask, who asked for this specifically? Like, I don't know who thought, you know what would be a good idea?
We should bring this.
So the main people that are going to be kind of like regulars are going to be Mario Lopez, which, for the record, has not aged a single day since the original Saved by the Bell. He looks exactly the same. And then also Elizabeth Berkley, who I would say has aged quite a bit. But that's neither here nor there. But they seem to be the ones that are kind of like fully back committed, because I think they're going to be like series regulars. I think some of the other ones like Kelly and Zach Morrison are going to be, or Zach Morris, sorry, are going to be sort of like, cameos. But they are confirmed. But anyway, so basically, I mean, you can kind of guess what the plot of this reboot is going to be. But it's basically like their kids are now, you know, attending Bayside, and it's like, like a very tired old cliche of reboots. And
seriously,
I'm kind of over it.
There's Girl Meets World, right? First of all, you need to go back and watch Boy Meets World because that show is fantastic. But anyway, then they made Girl Meets World, which I never did waste my time on. And I'm pretty sure that was a Who Asked for This segment at some point. And before that, we had Fuller House. Now, I'm sure you watched Full House growing up. You had to have.
Yeah, I did.
Full House was also, chef's kiss, very much a good show. Fuller House, it was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody's older now, so let's start with the new generation. First and foremost, the people that grew up watching those three shows originally, none of them, I'm sure, because most of them are probably older than us. If we're not interested to see the like progression of the universe of these shows, why would the people who were the original target audiences care?
Right.
You know? Now, what I will say after watching the trailer for this stupid reboot for Saved by the Bell, I will admit that I will probably watch it just to see how I feel about it. It looks like it could be decent, but just the fact like it's based off this whole Saved by the Bell 30 years later is very dumb to me. Like, why do we keep doing this?
I was gonna say, like, watching the trailer for it, like, it's definitely cringe, because it feels like it's a lot of adult male writers trying to sound like children. You know, it's kind of like that "Hey fellow kids," you know, type thing where, you know, like, oh, you know, fidget spinners and DJ Khaled, you know, like just throwing in references.
So a bunch of narcs is what you're saying. A bunch of undercover cops.
Exactly. But then, like, I guess, the production value looks pretty good, but I think it looks way too nice to be a reboot of Saved by the Bell. You know what I mean? Because like, Saved by the Bell was very, like, sitcom-y, whereas this feels like it's a single camera, like, comedy show. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's not I guess you could classify it as a sitcom, but like I said, the multi-camera Saved by the Bell versus this seems like just a single camera, like, you know, comedy with Mario Lopez, you know. So I don't know. I'm probably not gonna watch it because it's on a stupid streaming service that nobody is subscribed to.
It on again?
It's on Peacock. Like, what is that? Like, where did that come from?
On second thought, unless I can catch it illegally, I'm probably not watching it. I'm not buying another streaming service. And first of all, can we stop that too? Like, here's the streaming service exclusive.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I don't want to see whatever your exclusive is bad enough to want it anyway. And if it isn't on Netflix, Hulu, or like HBO Max, I probably don't care. I'm not gonna go buy Quibi or buy Peacock now to see your one stupid show.
Which Quibi? I don't know. Did you see that they're out of business now?
That quick?
Yeah, they were only up for X number of days, and they're already done. I thought that was hilarious.
We have a bomb? Tell me we have a bomb drop.
By the time I find it, it's going to be way too long. I do have a storm.
That'll work for me.
I have a slap. Here you go. It's a slap in the face to Quibi.
Yeah, that was a slap from all the actual streaming services. They were like, what are you doing? I just needed one good.
Maybe I'll put it in post. So, as always, I always say this, but it's the only thing I can think of to say. Your favorite segment is back from your favorite state in the United States. In this one, we kind of been on a little bit of a political slant lately, but I mean that's kind of warranted.
That's
considering
the only thing, yeah.
Right. So I think you'll get a kick out of this one. So headline is: Florida man drives a stolen bulldozer through a neighborhood and destroys Biden-Harris campaign signs. I haven't really read the whole article, so I don't know if the signs were the reason for the destruction, but I have a feeling that it is.
Or if they were just collateral damage.
Right. Somebody put that in, like, yeah, he destroyed my fence and my signs.
Will you believe? Coincidentally, all of the Biden-Harris signs have been run over. I don't know what his motive was, but I'm just saying.
Right. Alrighty, so here we go. A man in Florida has been accused by police of stealing a bulldozer and destroying residential yards to remove Biden-Harris campaign signs. Okay, so that was the motive, was to remove the signs. James Blight, 26, was arrested on Saturday and charged with grand theft greater than $20,000 of criminal mischief and trespassing on a construction site. Police say Blight stole the bulldozer from a construction site and drove it through Haines City, ramming through a residential fence and taking out a city-owned speed limit sign while digging up signs displayed to support Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's election campaign. Blight told police that he had been drinking whiskey all day, shocker, and did not remember most of the day. He said that he couldn't help but hit the Joe Biden signs and acknowledged to taking down a fence in the process. He also did not know how to operate the equipment. So he just saw this bulldozer and was like, I've driven a car before. I think we'll be fine. That's ridiculous.
I imagine it went very much something like this, if you'll just allow me to demonstrate. Florida man is sitting on his porch. He's just, drinking along and goes, you know what? I bet I could drive that thing. Hops in said thing, starts driving, and goes, Biden-Harris. Florida. And the fence was the collateral. It was the signs that he was going after, but the fence was the accidental.
Right. What I like is that the police chief gave this statement, which I think is hilarious. He said, "It's absurd that a grown man could think he had the right to destroy someone else's property based on a difference in political opinion. The fact that he was driving this heavy equipment that he did not know how to operate down busy roads could have been disastrous. We're thankful that no one was hurt in this matter." The funny thing is, though, is that I remember when I looked at this article and I pulled it up, the amount of signs in this person's yard is a little alarming. I don't know if you have the capability of looking at this picture, but it is like, we talked about like cult level of, support for a presidential nominee. And this almost verges on that, because there's, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 signs in the yard. And there's 2 banners in 2 separate windows. So like, I kind of get this guy's frustration of like, that is way too many signs to be having.
I would have done the same thing, respectfully.
Right.
Like, it's over the top.
It's over the
weird.
top. Yeah.
Support who you want to support. Left, right, whatever you want to call it. Don't care.
Right. I don't live in Florida. And my grandpa lives in Florida, but he lives in a condo, so he doesn't have to deal with his yard.
That wasn't your grandpa that did that, right?
No. Unless my grandpa's
Imagine.
26. Right. How, given the number of signs that I'm looking at here, how are you supposed to mow your lawn? Like, do you take them out and then mow your lawn and then put them back in?
As long as there's no razors on the bottom, that's not that big of a hassle, I guess.
Right. This is true. They did not go that level. Right.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
On both ends.
Yeah.
Now that I know the full story, you kind of deserved it, because why are you that over the top? You know. But also, why are you driving bulldozers while...
Right.
I was drinking whiskey all day. I hardly remember the morning, to be honest with you.
Not an
I saw the
excuse.
tractor and figured might as well. Can we get a round of applause for Florida? Do we have one?
Oh, yes. Round of applause. Thank you. Well, another fun-packed episode, I think. Definitely ending that one on a high note. Definitely, I just want to remind everybody, hey, you can watch us on YouTube. You can see our beautiful or ugly faces, depending on your opinion, on YouTube, and get all those nice visual goodies and stuff like that. So make sure you're going over to YouTube. Make sure you're subscribing. And then you can also check us out on social media. We have a Twitter, Non-Experts Pod, or we have an Instagram, Non-Experts Podcast, because Twitter is a joke. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, if you're going to subscribe on YouTube, don't forget to hit the bell.
That's right.
You hit the bell, you're going to be the first to know when we got new content coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be the first. Who doesn't want to be the first person there? Because I work at a bank, and clearly people love to be the first person there. I get there at 8:30. Sometimes people are there at 8:34. It's like, sir, we don't open until 9. So anyway, everybody likes to be first. Might as well hit the bell so you can be the first to watch the video.